Hi guys, welcome back. In this one, we will be continuing our series making our $70 million flash loan bot. All right, quick reminder, if you guys do want bots or any other trading bots, similar crypto bots, trading bots, or any other web project done, web trading project, email down below. You guys can reach out to me. Get to me. Sometimes you can get me on Telegram. You mostly can get me an email. Um, yeah, email down below. We'll get you set with your own trading bot. All right, guys. Now this is one of the longest running series on our channel, and for very good reason. Creating a flash loan or flash loan bot is actually quite complicated, right? There are a lot of moving parts. This is not like other trading bots where you just define the strategy and then it works. You have to define the strategy and then you have to know a lot of specialized networking to get it done. But no worries, guys. I've done a lot of that for you, written it in the code. Sometimes some of you guys have got to follow along in the series. All right, but that code will be down there in the description for you to download. All right, and that handles a lot of the problems for you. But personally, it's been a decent long time since I looked at this. So I'm just gonna go over the code, go over the strategy for you guys a little bit. And this video should be a quick one, but it should be a good one for you guys. All right, so let's just quickly so let me just open up our code here real quick. All right, you guys can see here I was looking it over just for myself real quick. Never mind this here. Just think about them. All right. Don't worry, guys. I'm gonna explain this to you all real quick. All right. So this is our code. Not the longest code, but not the shortest code. All right, guys. But don't worry, we're gonna go over it a little bit. Um. All right. So let's first start at a high level, right? Let me just give you guys the overview here. So the bot here that we're building is an arbitrage bot. What does arbitrage mean, right? Like, text, you guys probably know what arbitrage means. Arbitrage is when you buy low on one place, sell high in another place. All right. In this case, our bot is a flash loan arbitrage, but meaning we have to input zero. All right. So we are borrowing the money that we are trying to arbitrage, right? Or we are borrowing the crypto that we're trying to arbitrage, right? So we're borrowing crypto here for free. This is what's so cool about this bot. If when you're running this bot, you have zero cost except for the cost of setting up the bot, right? So you with other trading strategies, you have to have money, you have to have investment to put in them. With this one, the cost is absolute zero. You just have to leave it running. Now the cost to run those we leave it running for a long time, because sometimes you have to leave it running for a long time, can be annoying, can be tedious. It can even add up if your computer is your setup is strong enough, right? But anyways, enough of my talking. Let's go for it. So again, we're doing arbitrage, right? Arbitrage, flashing arbitrage, right? So we're taking zero. My whiteboarding skills are about to be legendary. We're taking zero investment because we have flash loan, right? Crypto, right? We're taking it. We're taking our $0, flash loaning it, right? Using that to exchange for more valuable crypto. If it sounds too good to be true, bear in mind, guys, this video series has been going on a long time, and that's the reason, right? This is extremely technical, but basically we're using $0 investment other than our infrastructure, right? And again, if you guys want help setting that up, you can reach out to me. I'll help you guys set that up. It is quite technical, but I do show you guys how to do it in some of the previous videos. It's no different than having your computer running all the time and having it set up. There are some code pieces here, but I will get to that. Right, so you're taking zero of your dollars, you're implementing what is called on the blockchain a flash loan, right? Your $0 then temporarily becomes let's say $1,000, right? One whiteboarding skills becoming legendary here. It then becomes $1,000, right? Temporarily, you don't get to keep this. Actually, the window for you to keep this is so small that there's don't even bother try stealing or anything like that. It's actually technically impossible, right? So unless you can finish the loop, right? So you're using that exchanging for a more valuable crypto, right? So you are using um you're using your small money and your lower value crypto, right? And you're trying to exchange it for a higher value crypto. That's the essence of arbitrage, right? And so we're gonna flash loan or low value. We're gonna flash loan some funds to ourselves, use it to borrow some cheap crypto. We're gonna go over here and we're gonna exchange it for some higher value crypto. And at the end of that loop, right, we have to pay it back or flash loan currency, and then we get to keep the difference, right? So will be our profit will be the, let's say we borrow 1,200, our profit will be 200, right? And we have to pay back the 1,000. That's the gist of it. All right. Now let's try it here. So that's the gist of it. So now I'm kind of just gonna go through the code real quick because yeah, I mean, like I said, the infrastructure here, is it's a little bit more than just defining the strategy. This is the strategy, all right, but in at a high level, but the infrastructure is deep. So I'm just gonna jump in the code real quick so we can, kind of get to it. And again, guys, don't worry, I will leave the links in the description. You can get this code, you can try running it for yourself. I will still be working on it. This is a free version of the infrastructure for this, to set all this up. You actually do need to pay for some subscription services, some 10, some 20, some 500, right? So that's why I say it costs up. You can find it for free, and this is what I did here. I did it for a guy who wanted something like this, but he just wanted to help him set him up. He wanted it to be as free as possible, and he's okay like letting it run for as long as he needed to then try and find an arbitrage, because you do have to get a bit lucky to find an arbitrage that is there and available for you for other people that are doing the same thing, find it. So there's a bit of luck to it as well. So you have to leave it running, and he won't. So let's go over it, right? So here we're setting up. Let me start at the very beginning. Here we're kind of defining our dependencies. Take note of this one here. That's our builder, right? These are contracts, right, that we kind of define or how we interact on the blockchain, right? And we have some configurations here. You guys will have so you guys have a .env, or you need to create a .env. I gave the example here, right? And you're just gonna have to put this variable node real API key, and you're gonna have to put the private key, which is the wallet for which you want your profit to be sent, and it will also be the wallet that you will use to conduct transactions, right? Yeah. So all right. So then we have some stuff here. We're connected to Bloxrope. Bloxrope is our builder. All right. So I need to go here for a second to kind of go over this like real quick. So like I said, guys, it's infrastructure heavy. That over there, that here that we set up here, this was just a strategy to execute all this on the blockchain. Takes a little bit of knowledge of the network, how the network connects with each other, and a bit of setting up there, which is why this video actually took so long, other than the trading strategy itself, right? Or why this series is continuing so long. So let me just go over that at a very, very high level again and again. A lot of that saved for you guys down there in the description with the code, as well as if you want some extra help doing your own custom. So reach out to me, and my email will also be there again, also maybe on Telegram, and we'll see. But all right, so the infrastructure is like this for blockchain apps, right? This is at the high level. You need to know this to be able to do your flash loans, right? Blockchains right now, and it's changes another reason. Blockchains right now work off of what's called let me try, like you have what are called builders, right? Those, they build the blocks, right? They build the blocks on the blockchain. They build blocks. Right? Then you have whether that they go to validators, And this is for like Ethereum and BSC, BS chains, and a lot of other blockchains that are actually like fast as well. For Bitcoin, um, for Bitcoin, the builder and validator are kind of like in one, right? I should also go over here like name. Anyways, but and the validators submit it to the chain, and then it gets built on chain, and then it's a valid transaction, right? Valid trans, right? So this is the point at which if somebody sends you crypto, you get the crypto, right? Those guys are responsible for looking at that and making that a reality, right? Don't worry, guys. We'll get back to the strategy, but you have to know this for a second, right? Then there's called the mempool. Then there's called over here. There is called the I'm gonna call it transaction pool. So you know what the hell you trans pool. And you can literally think about this as like a big pool of all the transactions, right? That are supposed to be like submitted to the blockchain that comes from other people that people want sent, right? Those transaction pools, I'm not gonna connect this because I don't want it to be confusing, even though it is, right? Builders look, right? Actually, yeah, that's good. I can draw that line. Builders look. Let me see if I can get some eyes here. They look with the laser eyes, right? They look at the transaction pool, right? Create the blocks and then send them to the validators, which decide to validate them. This is super important because while we have our strategy, we also need to work with these guys to get our strategy executed on the blockchain, right? And this information isn't exactly like publicized. It's known information, but if you can use blockchain for many years without knowing any of this, right? And that is exists. So how it would work is you have your app, right? In this case, we have our trading bot, right? Or you have your mobile wallet where you keep your crypto. You want to do a transaction. That transaction, you click send. That transaction is submitted to a public pool of transactions, right? This is kind of what we kind of think of as we're sending a public pool of transactions. Builders go ahead and read all those transactions, tries to organize them, very key there, organize them, right? And then submits that whole block of transaction, right? That's what we call a block, right? In the blockchain to our validators, and it puts it on the chain, right? And then it becomes a valid transaction. You get your money. All transactions are resolved, right? Now, this is important because, like I said, what we do with our bot, it takes advantage of these public transactions, right? It tries to read them and because this is the very, very first place a transaction ever like comes about as a valid from a person, right? Which is speed. Speed is extremely important in these applications, right? Like you could look at the transactions after they're done and be like, oh, there's an arbitrage here. Let me try submitting my transaction like that. The problem is you're competing with a ton of guys and just efficiency builders, right? That are looking at this all the time, trying to build them in a specific order, right? So that they can submit them and get any extra profit if there is that. This is what you can you familiar with the sandwich attacks, if you've ever heard that, where you have one transaction that's changing the price of a thing. You have another transaction, for example, that like I don't know, like buys that thing before this transaction does it, and then by the end of this transaction, that person gets like worse price. You see the slippage, but this person in the middle, that they reorder their transaction at the builder level, right? And you can do that by like working with these builders, which is some specialized technology. That's what this is. That's what this is, or builder. This is also a builder, but you see why I say this is our builder for now, because you have to pay for some of these guys. So it's a little bit of a, I don't want to call it a cartel, but it kind of is, depending on the blockchain, how decentralized it actually is, right? And quick note, BSC transactions, you cannot sandwich BSC transactions any most builders that get through that get the good head nod from validators don't allow you to sandwich transactions that much anymore, or don't allow you to sandwich transactions, right? What you can do is you can backrun transactions, meaning that you can't reorganize when the transaction is happening, but you can immediately set yourself to go after it and submit. Again, another important consideration because of speed, right? So I'm just going over all this with you guys, right? And at all levels, these are things that you have to pay for on the network, right? You have to pay for access to a transaction pool called a mempool, right? That's where, you know, the apps connect to a node that's like working with the blockchain. You have to pay to be able to look at that, right? Sometimes you have to pay the builder. It's not a direct fee, but if there's a lot of profit, if there's profit from what you're doing, you have to kick them back a profit in your transactions, and they will choose to pick somebody else's transaction over yours based on whatever fee you were giving them. That's the rule of the land. Validators, you don't have to worry about them too much. You just have to worry about your interaction with like the builders, right? So that's it right now. But you have to worry about it in the sense of speed, mean that you have to choose a builder that works with a very fast validator, you know, so that your transaction can get through. Anyways, so that's the high level here. So in the code here, we you know, again, variables, we have our bit, we talk to our builder, we connect to our builder, right? This is just here some. All right, so we open our a connection to what is called NodeReel. NodeReel is a service that allows you to look at their mempool for free, right? Now, this is not the best, because the best transaction, the most juicy ones, the ones that are going to have the most profit for you, right, are going to be on you know, mempools that you have to pay for. Now, I just did this for my client because this is what he wanted. That's what he could afford at the time. But if you want something like where you have more, this is what I'm going to be building for myself, by the way, so the series is going to continue, right? If you want something where you look at a different private main pool that you have to pay for, they can range from $25 a month to like 100 or 500 or whatever it is, and speed. If you want yours built in custom, again, you can reach out to me, email down below, and we'll help you get that set up. But I will be doing that throughout this video and leaving you guys with you know, my results. All right, so NodeReel, you have to sign up there, get an API key, right? It allows you to look at their transactions. No, it's not anyways, make a long story short, so we're looking at transactions. If we see a transaction that looks juicy, something that works for our strategy, we're kind of taking the transaction information, because we have to take that information, create our own transaction that comes after it, or comes somewhere in that order, right? And then submit them both together as a block, right? And so this is all that's doing here, you know. Then it just looks at transaction, then it just builds the transaction for us, right? This is our so more of our strategy. You guys have known this from the previous video. We're looking at token A, token B, or token C. We're looking for arbitrage between those, you know, using a PancakeSwap router to see if there's something on arbitrage there. The moment we see a transaction that looks like it's doing something like that on the blockchain to change the state, then we're like going for our arbitrage, you know. Here we're just using like we're trying to do it with 0.001. I just set it to the minimum because we're in the testing phase. You guys can change this to whatever, but we can change it to 1 ETH, try to get 1 ETH profit, right? All right, and so more stuff, building the transaction. All right, building the transaction, right? So you guys see, you know, there's a lot of network here, different side from the strategy. This is the point at which we actually send the transaction, right? And once we send the transaction, right, we should get a once we send the two transactions together, you can see here we take our own transactions from our own wallet. We have our transaction that we saw on the blockchain from the mempool. We have our own transaction. We send it along to something we call 48 Club. Those guys are a really fast builder. That's why we use them, right? For BAC. But again, if you want to adapt this to another chain, you're gonna have to, you know, swap this out with your own builder, right? And then we send. right? And this is different than what we were doing before, because what we were doing before, and bear in mind, we managed to get off like arbitrage and like what we were doing before without all this networking stuff. It's just that they were always very tiny, a couple cents. You never really able to make profit different than the profit you were spending to like do the transaction itself. Here, that's because we weren't being fast enough, you know. So this is just an attempt to all be fast enough, right? So kind of crazy. But yeah, you know, that's the whole flow. All right, that's covering this whole flow here from our strategy, which we covered in previous videos. All right, and to the networking, and then we'll continue with this. All right, and I'm gonna be continuing by I'm gonna open up node reel and show you guys. I'm actually gonna try and run this. You know, I haven't tried to run this in like a quite some time, but we're just gonna do that real quick. Desktop active lock, boom, boom, boom. Show you guys how to run it. So you just open terminal. I'm gonna give you guys the GitHub, so you guys should be able to see this. Boy, you guys open up terminal. You're gonna want to do npm install. I'm not gonna do it because I already do that. Npm install. It's gonna install all the packages. You may have to do you may have to just open this real quick and see anything that's in there that forgot to in that. You may have to install hard hat, but I think it's gonna be already installed. Actually, I think the whole code is there. You just do npm install, right? And then when you're ready, you do, oh man. And this command is like a bitch. I forget it. You do let me look at this. It's a bitch of a command here actually. I'm actually gonna have to like go to my own GitHub, right? This is so you know. Right. You npm install, then you do this. You're gonna want to change this network thing here because I'm not been setting up for BSC. Gonna do BSC. You're gonna want to set your own variables. I don't even think I have my thing set up. Invalid account here, right? So it wants me to let me look at it real quick. The network, because you have to set the network. Config. It's a testnet. All right, this says testnet, but it's not the testnet. This is the actually. Is it? Why is it trying to get BSC? Oh no, it's telling me invalid account 0 for network BSC. So it wants me to put my private key, which you're gonna have to create an env, and you're gonna have to put your private key here. You're gonna have to put this here, this here, this here. Right, and I know my Node.REAL API key. I'm gonna put my Node.REAL API key there and change it directly just for the sake of video with you guys. It's a pain. This is kind of a pain. I definitely don't want to leak my API keys. I don't want to end the video. Let me see. Let's up the scene too. All right, wait. All right, so you guys can see me. I'm big, but you can't see my API key. Hold on, guys. I'm just filling. So what I'm doing right now is I am adding my private key, just like it says in the GitHub. Adding my private key, adding my my Node.REAL API key, which you guys can go on Node.REAL and get your API key. But it's all yeah, and yeah, and then I'll click run again. Right. So yeah. So when you're done with that, all right, you run this command here. All right, you put it all in. You run this command here. It's gonna compile our contracts. It's gonna load it up. You see, it's looking for transactions that match our signature, you know, for arbitrage. And in this case, I don't want to use up all my API usage here on this video because I want to test some things and change it out. But really and truly, what it's doing here, it's running this code. I don't even want to like, who cares? I already leaked. right? It's running this code, right? And it's just looking for transactions that fit the description of, you see here, it found a transaction. It actually signed it and sent this transaction here, right? Let me just check my wallet real quick, see if there's money. I think it got an error. No one's too low for address, right? So I think that was something. If the God, what was that error about? It's finding no one's too low for address. MetaMask. Just check my meta. You have to check your meta real quick to know if you're rich or not. You know what I mean? Come on. Oh. Yeah, the ideal thing to do would be to leave this running. Why can I not see how much I have? Okay. Okay. So yeah, so no fun, no riches yet, boys. Right? But I think this gets an error sometime when what? Nuance too low. Because this is an error. That means it's like finding transactions that match your thing. Um Good, I'm trying to remember. I remember seeing this like all this while back. I remember the reason. I remember though you can leave it, and it eventually like it would eventually like get some to be true some of the times. I'm trying to remember. The ones too low because it's telling me that like my own address is I think. Anyways, I remember that you leave this right, and sometimes it will just find it. I believe nuance too low error is coming from I think it has to do with like a time thing, right? And if you're like too slow on if you're too slow on the your own wallet transaction timing or something like that, right? Then the nuance gets wrong, and it depends a little bit on speed, which is why a little bit of luck is required here. But in theory, you should be able to just read these out, right? And I'm gonna improve this in the next version and for sure like leaving you guys, but I'm gonna leave the link to this code here in the description down below, as well as my email address, guys, if you want the latest version of this as I'm working on it, which I'll be working on it now. All right, or if you want to make your own customizations, maybe you want to work with some other exchange other than PancakeSwap or something, you can email me and we will get you all sorted. The series continues, guys. All right. I will see you in the next one. For now, just set it up, run it on your computer, and keep looking at your wallet. You know what I mean? It's been on occasion where I've looked and I've seen some different cryptos in my wallet that I didn't know before. And with these changes that we implemented, it should be a lot faster, right? I'll have to fix this error so maybe we can get more transactions off, but I do remember this sending out transactions as well. So, all right, guys, this has been a very long video. I wanna leave you guys here. And then you guys can report back if you have any riches on my behalf and tip me in my wallet. You guys have my address, right? So max US price. Yeah, so sometimes you'll see a lot of stuff coming up here. That's just like how it's doing. All right, as long as it continues. All right. So all right, guys, I will see you in the next one. And again, reach out if you do want your own bots, crypto bots, trading bots. I'll also be making my very own custom trading bots like we are doing in the previous video. That one was actually kind of crazy, right? We were trading gold and it was like just profiting like daily, which is kind of crazy. So I'll be jumping back on that one, but this was just like a refresh for this video series because I do want to continue with this, guys. All right. Code down below, email down below. All right. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.